I feel like the judge was more than fair in his sentencing in that sense, because the judge also took Roger's side into account.
Tonight, Roger Bilodeau files an appeal in his manslaughter convictions.
It's good, obviously, to address a challenge, affordability challenge that many of these families are currently facing, also the health challenge.
Plus, the federal government announces a dental benefit for kids.
Now it's so much more because you understand the deep incisiveness in which she wrote those political songs, and that she was undressing the whole system, and just speaking truth to power.
And a sit-down with the legendary Buffy Sainte-Marie. Good evening, Tanse, and welcome to APTN National News. I'm Daryl Stranger. Some breaking news out of Saskatoon tonight. A fifth person has been arrested in connection with the death of Megan Gallagher. Saskatoon police say 27-year-old Robert James Thomas of Prince George, British Columbia, has been charged with first-degree murder. 4 others have been charged with committing an indignity to human remains. Gallagher went missing 2 years ago and her body has never been found. Her father, Brian Gallagher, spoke during a live press conference on Facebook.
When we heard the news this morning that an arrest had been made, the words couldn't describe my emotions anyways, and I don't want to speak for other family members, but I'm sure it was something similar. But the reality of all of this is none of this will ever bring Megan home. It'll never bring Megan back. We will never hug Megan again. We'll never laugh with Megan again. We'll never see her pretty smile again. Unless she promised me on Father's Day, we'll never play catch again. These are just some of the reasons for things like our walks and for Lindsay's journey. It is prophetic, to say the least, that 2 years to the day the first arrest is made for first-degree murder.
Roger Bilodeau is appealing his 2 manslaughter convictions for the deaths of 2 Alberta Métis hunters who were shot and killed in 2020. He was sentenced to 10 years minus time served and is scheduled to spend the next 5 years behind bars for the shooting deaths of Maurice Cardinal and Jacob Sansom. Roger Bilodeau's son, Anthony Bilodeau's sentencing for second-degree murder and manslaughter is scheduled for November. Gina Levasseur, Jacob's sister and Maurice's niece, says the appeal should not be successful.
It's disheartening because we don't even feel as a family that 10 years is sufficient for what he has done, and the seriousness of what they did to my brother and my uncle. It breaks my heart, honestly. I feel like the judge was more than fair in his sentencing in that sense, because the judge also took Roger's side into account.
A Métis woman from Saskatoon pulled her son out of a daycare center after the caregiver gave the boy a haircut without her permission. Janet Nyland says cutting her son's hair was insensitive and racist. She says she contacted police to file a hate crime complaint. The Saskatoon Police Service confirmed they received the complaint and are investigating. The Ministry of Education told APTN News they also received a complaint and are investigating. The child care provider posted this on Facebook after the mother complained. "I did accept I cut child's hair without his mom permission, as I don't know this is his first haircut. Key point, first haircut is very important for everyone. Please cut your child's hair immediately after birth and put in safe closet for whole life until she died. Important point, it will save you from evil eyes, ghosts, witches, enemies, and any other invisible creatures. So I am going to main point, that's why this all story happened." Canadian, Indian, or different ethnic residential school system. I think behind the story of haircut is Indigenous. Indigenous means extra brilliant mind peoples. People history, they was considering long hair as a symbol of their culture, their belief, and their religion. APTN contacted the daycare worker for a comment, but she said she wasn't ready to speak to media yet. Janet Island says she was horrified when she realized her son's hair had been cut.
One afternoon, just randomly, I came to pick him up and I noticed that his hair was cut. I confronted her for a reason why she cut my child's hair, and her reasoning was, I don't like long hair on boys and Native children should not have long hair.
A Wet'suwet'en group opposed to the Coastal GasLink pipeline is raising concerns the company is preparing to drill under the Maurice River. Last year, the planned passing of the natural gas pipeline under the river sparked new blockades, which led to arrests in northern BC. APTN's Lee Wilson has more.
In a press release, Gidimt'en Access Point shared pictures of a pipeline builder ready to pass the natural gas pipeline under the Wet'suwet'en, or Maurice River, near Houston, BC. They stated the river provides clean drinking water for Wet'suwet'en villages and is a key salmon spawning area. The group is set up on the Maurice Forest Service Road on behalf of the Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs. The chiefs remain opposed to the Coastal GasLink pipeline in their territory. Last fall, 2 months of blockades ended with dozens of arrests of Wet'suwet'en members and supporters. We contacted Gidimt'en Access Point for a comment, but did not receive a response before airtime. The Coastal GasLink pipeline is a 670-kilometer pipeline that will transport natural gas from northeastern BC to a terminal in Kitimat. The project has consent from 20 elected band councils along the route. In an email statement to APTN News, a Coastal GasLink spokesperson confirmed they will be tunneling under the Maurice River and have successfully crossed 8 waterways. Coastal GasLink is the process of completing trenchless watercourse crossings under the Maurice River and Crocker River. 8 out of 10 major watercourse crossings have been safely completed. The tunneling process under the Maurice River is anticipated to last till the end of the year. According to CGL, the pipeline is now over 70% complete. Lee Wilson, APTN National News, Kitimat.
Parliament resumed sitting today, with the Trudeau government announcing details of its affordability plan. The plan contains a number of measures, including doubling the GST tax credit for 6 months, a dental benefit for children under 12 who do not have access to insurance, and a one-time top-up of $500 to the Canada Housing Benefit. At a news conference, Health Minister Jean-Yves Duclos explained the importance of the dental benefit.
Is going to help 500,000 children of low and middle income families, making them able to access dental care services. It's good, obviously, to address a challenge, affordability challenge that many of these families are currently facing. Also the health challenge. There are severe health costs to not caring for children under the age of 12 when they have oral health needs.
All right, it's time for a short break, but still to come, an independent expert panel is calling for some changes within the Thunder Bay Police Service. Welcome back to Thunder Bay now, where an independent expert panel is calling for some changes within the Thunder Bay Police Service, including more Indigenous representation. The panel, appointed by the Thunder Bay Police Service Board, has tabled an interim report recommending many changes that will change how policing services are provided in the city of Thunder Bay. This is the latest development after multiple investigations into the Thunder Bay Police revealed racism and allegations of corruption amongst senior leadership, as well as inadequate investigations into the deaths of Indigenous people. The report recommends the next chief of police should be Indigenous or another person of color with police leadership experience. Joining us now is the chair of the independent expert panel, Alok Mukherjee. Alok, I want to thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to speak with us about this.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So why was this review of the Thunder Bay Police needed?
Well, we were approached by the Thunder Bay Police Services Board around February or March because, as you may know, Thunder Bay Police has been under scrutiny for the longest time. And most recently, about a few years ago, the Honorable Murray Sinclair had done a very extensive investigation of governance of policing in Thunder Bay. At about the same time, the Ontario Police Review Director, the public complaints body, had done a systemic review and called it broken trust. Former Senator Sinclair had said that there was willful blindness. And indeed, the issues go back for more than 30 years, when in 1992 there was a grassroots committee looking at Native murders in Thunder Bay and how they were handled. So the board at this time, facing the challenge of implementing recommendations from Honorable Sinclair and OIPRD, decided to bring in this expert panel, of which I am the chair, to advise the board on how to move forward on issues of mental health, human rights, and workplace culture. That's the context why we are there.
Now, are you able to tell us about the work itself that the board undertook to deliver this interim report?
You mean our panel? We did a very extensive set of consultations. The panel was there, all 9 of us, in July. We met all of the chiefs, grand chiefs, deputy regional grand chiefs of the First Nations adjacent to Thunder Bay. We met with members of the community, First Nations and non-Indigenous. We met with organizations. We met with members of the police service itself. We met with the chief of the Aboriginal Police Services. And based on all those conversations, we began to form some conclusions about the issues that needed to be addressed. We also asked for access to the documents from the police board and police service, and we did a thorough analysis of the documents. And it was clear to us that there has been a lack of leadership. There has been a failure of leadership, what the Honorable Sinclair called willful blindness. One can understand that the 2.5 years of the pandemic had its impact, but nonetheless, within the board, there was lack of cohesion, there was a lack of vision, there was no plan, no strategic plan. So there's no shortage of good recommendations, and there's hundreds of them, but there's a shortage of a path for moving forward, and that's what we're trying to provide.
So what are some of the changes that the panel is recommending here?
Well, we, based on all those consultations, clearly there are some issues within the police service in terms of resources, in terms of the health and well-being of members, in terms of trauma. But there's also a bigger issue, which is that policing of Thunder Bay involves dealing with people, indigenous people who come from remote communities, the First Nations territories, who come to Thunder Bay to go to school, for medical help, social service help, employment, and get into difficulties when they are in Thunder Bay. And that requires some degree of cultural competence, knowledge of their culture, history, the whole history of intergenerational trauma and community trauma and personal trauma in order to be able to work with them. So our view from talking to the leaders of the community is that Thunder Bay Police Service alone cannot provide the kind of effective, inclusive policing that is required. That there needs to be a regional model where the Thunder Bay Police works in very close partnership and collaboration with the Anishinaabe Police Service, the Anishinaabe Aski Nation Police Service, the OPP. So what we need is to enhance the resources and enhance the collective knowledge and expertise, find a way that these different police organizations work in collaboration with each other. That's one of the things that we are very seriously looking at. We have heard very clearly from the Grand Chiefs and Chiefs that we need to find a regional way of doing things together. The 300-odd predominantly non-Indigenous police service members of Thunder Bay Police do not necessarily have the knowledge, the skills, the sensitivity to provide the service that is needed in Thunder Bay.
Well, Alok, I want to thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to sort of walk us through some of what is going on and some of the recommendations the panel made. So we'll have to leave it there. But again, thank you very much for taking a few minutes out of your day to explain some of that with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Now, a final report from the panel is expected next year. All right, it's time for one more break. When we come back, a tribute to Buffy Sainte-Marie, and then we speak to the legend herself.
I'm singing Universal Soldier tonight, but in my language too.
Welcome back. It's time now for our photo of the day. This was sent in by Susan Hare. Susan tells us this was the scene in Michigan Bay after some rain had passed, and that looks like a Bob Ross painting. Thanks for sharing, Susan. You can send your pictures by email to share@aptn.ca for the chance to be featured as our next photo of the day. And now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting over in the east, 18 and some rain in Charlottetown and 20 in Halifax. 19 in Happy Valley Goose Bay and 19 in Cartwright. 21 degrees in Montreal and 18 in Quebec City. 28 in showers in London and 20 in North Bay. Showers in 17 in Timmins and 13 in showers in Big Trout Lake. More showers and 8 degrees in Churchill and 11 in rain in Norway House. 14 in showers in Winnipeg and 13 in rain in Dauphin. 16 in clear in Regina and 16 in clear in North Battleford. 15 degrees in La Ronge and 14 degrees in Stony Rapids. Moving west to 17 in Fort Chipewyan and 19 in clear in Peace River. 21 in sun in Edmonton and 18 in sun in Calgary. 24 degrees in clear in Campbell River and 23 in Bella Coola. 18 in a mix of sun and cloud in Sandspit and 20 in Fort Nelson. 16 degrees in Whitehorse and 9 in Old Crow. Some showers in 11 in Norman Wells and 21 in Fort Simpson. 10 degrees in Fort McPherson and 8 degrees in Inuvik. 6 degrees in Baker Lake and -1 in Cambridge Bay. -3 in Arctic Bay and 6 degrees in Iqaluit. The life and music of Buffy Sainte-Marie was celebrated at the National Arts Centre in Ottawa last Friday night. There was a long list of performers on hand for the tribute. Polaris Prize-winning musician Jeremy Dutcher was one of them. He said Buffy was a trailblazer in the early days of the peace movement and an influence throughout his entire life.
But now it's so much more because you understand the deep incisiveness in which she wrote those political songs, you know, and that she was undressing the whole system, you know, and just speaking truth to power. And so now that stuff sits on me in a different way than it did. So I'm kind of rediscovering her music all the time, you know? There's always kind of like a new layer to that songwriting and even coming here to do this and kind of dig into I'm singing Universal Soldier tonight, but in my language too.
And Buffy Sainte-Marie joined Dennis Ward earlier this week to talk about her musical legacy and her thoughts on the upcoming National Day for Truth and Reconciliation.
Buffy, fantastic to have you with us. Canada finally has an official day towards recognizing the harms of residential schools. How have attitudes towards Indigenous peoples changed over your career? And what do you think this day means?
Well, of course, depends on where we're talking about. People are much more aware in Canada because of Truth and Reconciliation than they are in the States where, you know, most people are just not aware of it at all. So my take on it is that the good news about the bad news, residential schools, is that more people know about it now. To me, it's step 1 and 2, but if we don't keep it going, then that's all it's going to amount to. But we are keeping it going. I see it everywhere. So I see it's not only affecting non-Indigenous learning and beginning to teach.
Buffy, how will you be marking the day on September 30th?
I'm going to be home. I'm going to be sad. I'm going to be connected to family. So I'll be with you, you know. It's like I say, the good news about the bad news is more people know about it now. You know, it's good that people know about it, but it's such a terrible, terrible tragedy in Canada's history. And of course, it's been devastating for us.
Buffy, it's a busy time for you. The documentary Buffy Sainte-Marie, Carry It On, has just had its world premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival. Can you tell us a bit about that project?
Oh boy, people have been loving it, and I'm so proud of Eagle Vision, Lisa Meaches and Kyle Irving, for bringing Madison Thomas onto the project, because she has just been fabulous. People love her movie, and I am so proud to have worked with Andrea Warner again. So it's really very close to my heart, and I've been loving it. And TIFF was a lot of fun, and people are loving the documentary, by the way. We just get stopped all the time. Everybody's loving it.
Really looking forward to seeing it. Buffy, you're not somebody who stands still too often. Can you tell us a bit about what you're working on now?
Oh, same old, same old. You know, I like you, I go to bed. I don't know if I'm going to dream or not, but if I do, I'm probably going to turn it into something. I've come out with several children's books in the last couple of years. Topway and the Magic Hat is finally out in English, and also a Cree edition. So that's available everywhere, you know, Amazon and bookstores and every place. And two other books, one called Still This Love, illustrated by Julie Flett. Hey Little Rockabye is out. I'm just going to continue, you know, accepting the songs that come into my head and trying to turn them into something great for you guys.
Looking forward to anything you put out, Buffy. A pleasure to have you with us. Thanks for taking some time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We see you.
And be sure to tune into APTN on the first ever National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on September 30th. We will have incredible programming all day and night to honor survivors. A special 1-hour event will be produced with the National Center for Truth and Reconciliation called Remembering the Children. And right before and right after, APTN National News will have half-hour specials to take you throughout the event. I'm Daryl Stranger. Thank you for joining us. Miigwech, and have a great night.